You've played Hilda from Fire Emblem, Eramis from Destiny. Who else? A few of Aphrodite skins in Smite. So
Thalyssra and World of Warcraft and did you already say Mistral and Metal Gear? Yeah, about a whole
absolutely
bunch.
have. My point is, you've been around the block. Which of those roles will really stand out to you? Because you said video games are quite particularly your favourite, but you also liked playing as the villains somewhat compared to playing as the heroes. Because I know great example of this is Eramis is one. Well, she was one of the main villains of Destiny for the time being, but then you had on the opposite side one more of the heroes, as with Hilda from Fire Emblem. So which one's more fun, the heroes or villains? Because I know you said the villains, but out of all the heroes and villains you've played out, as which one's been
Yeah. It's hard to say what's my favorite because I think like in the moment when you're working on whatever role it is, if you've got a director that you really have a good vibe with and um helps you get to those places inside of yourself. Like for me, it's always super exciting to play a villain because it's just so far from who I am as a person and what I do and what I try to bring to the world. But it's really fun to get that release of getting to be like like a larger than life kind of a person. Um, but at the same time, like Hilda is like she is so fun. She was I always wish that they would bring her back into that fold because she's like I mean she's kind of like she's a good person, but she's like one of the most manipulative characters I think I've ever played, like ever. But you still like her. So it's like and you're like, "Oh, but it's okay. It's Hilda." Like, I'll do it for Hilda. And that was a really fun fine line to play and not have her be totally annoying, and entitled and stuff like that, which, she could be. Um, but so it's hard to say like what's really fun for me is like why I like the villains is because it's so far from who I am. And I really like when there's an accent involved because I happen to be really good at accents. So if I get to have an accent on top of it, it's like really scratching an itch for me that's like, oh my gosh, like let me embody this thing that I don't even know what it is or how they think. But like when I'm doing an accent, it kind of gives me a little bit of I don't know, leeway or wiggle room to like explore what that might feel like. And I love like sometimes when I'm doing like if it's like a Russian role or something, and then I get to speak in Russian, or I was in Prince of Persia, I played Razia, and I had to speak Farsi in that, and they had an interpreter come at the end, and he said to me, he's like, I love your accent. He's like, you remind me of my father's mother, her mother, my grandmother. And I was just like, oh boy, I don't think my accent was that good, but okay. But then like having to like try to get this other language to come out of you, it takes a lot of help from other people, but it's I don't know, it's exciting. I feel like I learn something new from every time I get to do all that kind of stuff. So that's why the farther from myself that it is, I think the more like interesting it is, the more exciting it is because when you've been working your whole entire life doing this, to always be learning is like really exhilarating. So yeah, I mean, I fall in love with a little bit of each of my characters, even like the worst of the worst. Um, when I played Thalyssra for World of Warcraft, she's such a tragic character, and I remember the director and she's one of my favorite directors, Andrea Toyes, and she really like helps like take you there, like, and I mean, we were both crying at one point during one of her speeches because it was just like, oh my God, her whole everything that she's ever known and believed in, and she tried to save them, but she couldn't. And she's just left with all this guilt and the pain of loss and everything like that. And it's like that's great too, like to get to like have your feelings, you know, because we all have grief like of some kind in our life and tragedy. And sometimes when you get to play these characters, like it's also a way to let some of your own stuff out through the character, you know.